Hi, everybody, and welcome to Geeks Speak Louder Than Nerds, a weekly rewatch podcast for TV shows, movies, and the complete equation needed to solve how many crewmen could a flurkin eat if a flurkin could eat crewmen. My name's Nick Farrow.
And I'm Mike Hilty, and I'm quite impressed that you got that through with
Got it in one.
one. It's just natural talent.
That's what it is. Well, today, for the first time, well, not the first time, we're doing a temperature check today. I got the right temperature for shelter you from the storm. But for the first time, it's for a movie. I know we've promised it in every episode since day one. Well, now we're actually here to deliver it like a FedEx package to Tony Stank. Since it's the holidays, we have a present for you. It won't just be me and Mike today. We are putting together a team, and she's taken her first step into a larger universe. She just doesn't know it yet. It's Chantal Ashford.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here.
I appreciate the invite. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome anytime.
Absolutely. Chantal writes with us on Sif Pop. We're very excited to have her. So, Chantal, tell us a little bit about your movie background.
I guess with me, with movies, it just started off when I can't even remember. I think it was probably like the first time I ever saw like Jurassic Park. And just being that kid, like in a movie theater and you just instantly like fall in love and you're just like, that's what I believe what movies were all about, was just like a fascination and just wondering like how everything has been made and like how did they create these kind of monstrous animatronics. It's basically trying to get away from reality and just being able to step off into a bigger universe. So that's my thing with movies, is just being able to walk away from your actual reality and being able to live a little. And that's what it is for me, is to be able to live, even if it is just for like 90 minutes or 3.5 hours, like Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the reasons I love movies as well. That escape that you get because it's just
Yes,
magic on screen.
truly.
So, Chantal, can you share your socials and where the people can find you?
I sure can. If anything, if you want to catch me talk about anything, everything pop culture, you can catch me on X at underscore Akira XO or at Letterboxd at Edna Mode.
Be sure to follow Chantal for more exciting movie chat. And now, without further ado, we are discussing Marvel's 44th entry in the cinematic universe titled The Marvels.
Once upon a time, there was a lovely princess.
What do you mean you've seen this? It's brand new.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
That's right.
Just a note, we will keep this whole opening spoiler free. That way, anybody can listen, not feel like they have to worry. I mean, honestly, there's not a ton to spoil about the movie because it does kind of move pretty rapid pace, but there are some pretty big spoilers towards the end that we definitely don't want to give away for anyone who hasn't seen it yet or doesn't want to be spoiled. So we'll drop in a spoiler warning when we get there. But to start, The Marvels is a movie about Carol Danvers, Kamala Khan, and Monica Rambeau. And the synopsis is: when Dar-Ben, a Kree revolutionary, finds one half of a set of legendary bangles, she enacts her plan to take revenge on Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers. By using the bangle to open unstable wormholes, she inadvertently entangles the power of Danvers, Monica Rambeau, and Kamala Khan, and our three heroes must learn to work together in order to stop Dar-Ben from recovering Kamala's half of the bangle and destroying everything that the Marvels hold dear. This movie stars Brie Larson, Aman Vellani, Tiana Paris, Samuel L. Jackson, Zawe Ashton, along with many others, including Tango and Nemo as Goose the Flurkin. That was the synopsis that I actually wrote, because the synopsis that the internet has that's officially released by Marvel is this: Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. However, unintended consequences see her shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe when her duties send her to an anomalous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary. Her powers become entangled with two other superheroes to form the Marvels. So, to start, I would love to hear what you guys think about that synopsis over the one I read because those sound like two completely different movies.
I have to agree because, like, literally reading the synopsis above from the one from below, it does sound like two different movies. To me, I wouldn't really say like Captain Marvel is like teaming up with two other superheroes because to me, technically, I don't really see Miss Marvel. Sure, she's like, coming into her own, but then you have Monica, who kind of technically really doesn't like consider herself one. So it was kind of off for me right there. And then like the same thing with the whole thing of her reclaiming her identity from that tyrannical Kree.
She
It
certainly
just
was
sounds,
doing that very
yeah,
quickly at the beginning and then never again.
exactly.
Mike, what do you think?
When was the Marvel one written? Like, was that written back in like 2018 when
Right?
they first announced this movie? Like, what is going on? Is nobody at Marvel taking a look at this and thinking that maybe we should rewrite
Probably not.
this? Well, at this point, it's pretty obvious it's not because I'm a little floored. That is what Marvel put out. Your description is much more accurate because I like your version of the movie better than that one. That other one, quite frankly, sounds a little bit boring and bureaucratic and very much like a lot of other Marvel stuff.
It
Right.
sounds a lot like an actual sequel to Captain Marvel. Whereas, and we'll get into it later, but I kind of feel like this was much more of an ensemble piece than probably the
Right.
original script called for. And they probably just took the original synopsis and just was like, yeah, that's good enough. We kind of half-assed the rest of this movie.
Right.
Why not the synopsis too?
It's very interesting that given the amount of reshoots Marvel said that they did for this, I'm surprised that they didn't adjust to allow people to set proper expectations. I feel like if anybody goes in wanting to see that movie, they're absolutely not going to get it. And
Oh, exactly.
No.
I don't get, I mean, I guess I kind of do. The sheer amount of critical backlash of this, I'm a little surprised. This might be one where either you had fun with this or you didn't. And if you didn't have
Yeah.
fun with this, then you're not going to enjoy it.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Right.
it's also interesting. After I saw the movie, I went and I watched some of the trailers because I was hearing the wildest things like they spoiled that in the trailer and they put that in the trailer. There was this
Right.
one TV spot where it was super somber and they had the Avengers Endgame trailer music where it was like the slowed
Yeah.
down version. And they made this movie look like it was like this epic tale of good versus evil. And I'm like,
Right.
is this trailer? It completely missells the movie. Like it's not even close to what you're about to walk into. This whole marketing strategy and everything, start to finish, from what they allowed to leak to the public to all the reshoots, it just sounds like everything was a disaster behind the scenes.
I also think it came out at a really inconvenient time when nobody could promote it.
Right.
It also doesn't help when your director is working on another movie already. And I kind of feel a little bad for Nia DaCosta because it seems like her original vision for the movie is not what we ultimately got. And now she's frustrated about how Marvel and Feige ultimately gave for the end product.
Yeah. Let's talk anticipation.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
Leading up to this movie, how excited were you for this one? I know I myself was pretty excited because all the word was that it's going to be lighthearted, fun, and funny. Chantal, what were you thinking leading up?
When I first heard when this movie got announced, I wasn't really looking forward to it because I really wasn't too much of a fan of Captain Marvel. I just didn't get into like her origin story like the others. For me, it felt like it was just missing something. So I just was like, whatever about it. I was like, oh, I'll just wait. And then after seeing like WandaVision and then finding out that Monica was going to be in the next one, and then seeing Miss Marvel, and then knowing that she was going to be in the movie with them as well. So it was just more like, okay, I'm like, maybe they have something here. So my anticipation kind of changed. It started to get a little bit higher just so I can just see how the three characters are together. Because the last time we saw Monica and Carol together, Monica was a little girl. So we already knew like their dynamic was going to be completely different. And then also we already know how Kamala is because she's such a fangirl of Captain Marvel. So I was like really excited just to see how those three personalities were gonna all work out together.
I'm right there with you. It was the Monica and Kamala of it all that really boosted my anticipation for it as well. Because the first Captain Marvel movie, I'm like, it was fine.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't really
It was fine.
digging it. Yeah. What about you, Mike?
It's mixed because on one end, I think the person that I was most excited to see more from was Miss Marvel. I really liked Miss Marvel and I really like WandaVision as well. It's just been so long since we've seen Monica. And not only has it been so long, there has been nothing from Monica over the
Right.
last, what, 2, 3 years since WandaVision?
I think it was 2021.
I think you're right. 2021. So yeah, it's been 2 years.
Yeah, it's 2 years, and Wong has been pretty much in every single thing that Marvel has done lately. So,
Yeah.
what's up? Why can't we get some of these other people off the bench? I think the thing that kind of caused me to be a little bit mixed was also knowing that Nick Fury was in this and knowing beforehand that we got Secret Invasion before this as well.
Well,
I'm
I don't
I'm
think
not
you had to worry much about 5 minutes into the movie.
I agree with that, but you're asking about anticipation. And
No, I
anticipation
know.
was like it was like no.
It was like this
I'm
is
good.
before the summer. It was going up. It was going up. Secret Invasion again. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anticipation level, I would say it was mixed because it was filled with I want to see more of Miss Marvel. I'm excited to see Monica again, even though it's been 2 years. And then Captain Marvel and Nick Fury.
Look, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I forgot you're here.
Let's just get everybody's opinions of the movie. What did you guys think of the movie? Did you like it? Was it lame? Was it funny? What was your thought?
I had a lot of fun with it. I actually had a good time with it, even though I was kind of miserable in my movie theater because they had the air on so high. Besides that, I thought the film was a lot of fun. I had a better time with it than I did with Captain Marvel because it wasn't just focused on Captain Marvel, it was focused on the three of them. Just trying to figure everything that they're going through and how to like save everything and everyone they love. There was times where it was a little goofy, a little offbeat and lighthearted, but I mean that's every Marvel movie, even though with them trying to have like that emotional depth and everything being about family and sacrificing and like saving the ones we love. But it was still, to me, I thought they just did, I guess, like a better storytelling on this end than what they did with Captain Marvel. I think they just got me right out the gate. Like as soon as it started, they just went right into the movie and then they just kept the ball rolling.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. What about you, Mike?
Under most circumstances, I probably would be ripping this movie to shreds for a variety of reasons because tonally this is very uneven and the story is kind of all over the place, which we all know why. But yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Chantal. I had a lot of fun with this. And you know that you have a lot of fun with the movie and that you enjoy it when I went to go see this on Monday when I had the theater all to myself.
Nice.
And I still
That's nice.
enjoyed it.
It's because that's the best way to watch a movie.
Exactly.
Just sitting there like an idiot, just laughing to myself. I'm looking around. I'm like, no, it's still just me. All right, cool. But I enjoyed this a lot more than I originally anticipated, mainly because it is fun. And I mentioned it before, but critical reception of it wasn't. It's fine now. It's 62%.
It's evening out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's evening out. But you're seeing also that critical response is lower, but the audience scores are higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, I get that. And it's one of those things where if I don't look too hard at some of the wrinkles that this movie has, I had a good enough time with this that I can look past it, even though in some other cases, I know in my better judgment that I probably should.
I'm right there with both of you. It's like my left brain and my right brain are fighting because on one hand, no.
Yes.
What was that we just watched? But on the other hand, it's like, shut up, I'm having fun.
Exactly.
I think the closest I could compare this movie to is my experience with the World of Warcraft movie because I'm such a Warcraft fan. I walked out of it with the biggest smile on my face while I'm at the same time going, that was such a terrible movie. But I loved it. But it was fun.
Yeah.
I feel like they accidentally made a really fun movie in the editing room because this is so
Yes.
clearly not the movie they wanted to make. And there are so many moments where I could pull it apart and be like, why didn't we ever go back to the water planet? Like just to see if everything was okay. I really liked that whole idea between Monica and Carol not having seen each other in 30 years. Like
Right.
that's a huge emotional part that they just kind of
Very.
one line and we're out. And like that scene where they crash on the grass planet or planet CGI reshoot, as I like to call it, where they were like, all right, we got to reshoot something quick and it's got to really wrap up everything so we can get into this third act. But like those things aside, Fury had me dying with his lines. And
Yes.
Aman Vellani was so fun and energetic and stole the show. Like this is her movie. This is an amazing Ms. Marvel follow-up, but it was a disappointing Captain Marvel sequel. I feel bad for Tiana Paris because they just kind of shoved all the exposition lines on her and they're just like, here, you be the smart one and just say all the things that the stupid audience needs to know, because that was really like everything she got relegated to until the end.
Well,
And we'll get to that later, but yeah.
Well, I was just about to say that, how you could see some moments when they're all together that you could see her, whether it's the script or her saying like, I think my character needs to loosen up a little bit because everybody else is having fun and I don't want to be the stick in the mud throughout this.
Right.
So you see it towards the end, especially on the water planet, how starting to have a little bit of fun.
She's loosened up, yeah.
Loosen up. But I did like Monica's story a lot, and we'll get into that a little bit more in the spoiler section.
I think we've unspoiled it long enough. What do you say? You want to do the spoiler chat?
If TikTok hasn't ruined it for you already, sure, why not?
Yeah, exactly. All right. So here we go. We'll be discussing spoiler warning for the Marvels. If you have not seen it and you want to, pause it, come back and listen to us spoil the crap out of this movie later.
Thank you, one and all, for ruining yet another plot. I'll be off now. But before I go, in Citizen Kane, Rosebud is the name of his sled, and Luke Skywalker's father is Darth Vader.
I see dead people.
Goodness, I had no idea. For you see, I have been on Mars, in a cave, with my eyes shut and my fingers in my ears.
Darth Vader cannot be Luke Skywalker's father. They don't have the same last name.
Okay, so I wanted to start by saying that every time I take my kids to see a movie, which this is one of them, we get in the car and I say to them, I make them each go one at a time and I make them start youngest to oldest because the big one usually influences the little ones. So she has to go last. I go, what was your favorite part of the movie? And I'm going to do it with you guys. What was your absolute favorite part of the movie, Chantal?
Ooh, I think my favorite part would have to be towards the end, when all three of the Marvels finally get a chance to take on Darben, and we finally get to see them actually work as a team. I thought that was actually executed very well. Like the whole fighting scene to me was amazing. I mean, it's not like on a grand scale what we've seen before, but I think that it pretty much upheld in the third act. I thought that was a really good time to watch. I was like really focused in that fight. Like I was just waiting to see like who would do what because it's like three at a time on one. So it was just like you're trying to stay focused on like Captain Marvel and then you got Miss Marvel and then you have Monica. So they're like all over the place, but it was just executed perfectly.
I agree. That was really well done, that fight scene. I honestly, whenever the three of them are in the room together and it's just them, that's when the movie really sings. So I'm glad that we didn't get like a terrible cut to death fight scene. That one was really well executed.
Speaking of sing, my favorite part of the movie was so I love when Marvel gets weird and they start swinging for the fences, and to have the guts to have a planet which is singing. I loved that whole sequence because the embarrassment on Carol's face is
Mhm.
like, yep, I can't believe I have to go back here.
Potato, you're famous everywhere, right?
Monica is just taking all this in and be like, what is going on with this place? And then Kamala just going with it, dancing herself. I love that sequence so much. And it's different. There's a very good chance we are never going to get anything like that in a Marvel movie ever again.
I have a question actually,
We
and you can
probably
both
won't.
answer this. There was a moment when I was watching it the second time, I saw a weird cut. Do you think, like I do, that there was an entire dance sequence musical number that they completely cut from the film? It was right
It's in a
before they got
trailer.
on the elevator.
I totally believe that, honestly. I have to agree with that because it just that whole scene, that's what I was waiting for. I was just waiting like with her and her prince when they were like singing and like having a conversation. I was literally waiting for like a full on like 8 count, just loud music. It's just like a jubilee of celebration. And we didn't get that.
It was in a trailer.
Was it really?
I'm pretty sure it was one of the first trailers, maybe not the first one, but one of them where it looked like they were doing like a Bollywood style dance sequence.
Okay, so I'm not crazy
Okay.
because they go
Okay, that
from
sounds
walking
familiar.
through the street, kind of like this, and then they get onto the elevator, and that's where the weird cut happens. Right before they get onto that elevator that takes them up to the ballroom, and Monica
Yeah.
is like, like, and she's saying like, "Oh,
Yes.
you people got to take it down," and I'm like, "You were just walking, like you're very in
Yes.
shape. That shouldn't have winded you." I'm like, there must have been a dance number that they completely cut out, and that makes me
We
very
needed
sad.
We needed the Costa cut, and we needed the Costa cut now.
Yes.
Hashtag release the DaCosta cut.
If you heard it here first on Geeks Speak Louder Than Nerds, hashtag release the Costa cut.
For sure.
Or at the very least, when it comes on Disney Plus, please make it a bonus feature that we can actually watch. Please. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It'll be a dream come true.
Nick, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part is a smaller part. I really loved that first scene with them together when they were on the ship trying to coordinate their powers when they were practicing. I could have watched an entire hour of that. It was so charming. They were all so great in it. This was the first real time that we've gotten to see Carol have an actual personality in these movies. And I thought her relationship with Monica and her interactions with Kamala were all so just genuine, and they were all, you could see they were all having a blast doing it too. So like I really loved that scene with a 1A 1B of I died when they started playing the song from Cats in the with the Flurkins. Because when I took my kids to see it, my middle daughter loves Cats. That movie, for some reason, to her is one of the greatest movies of all time. And so she's sitting there cackling like a fool, going, ha, 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 ha. Like as the cats are eating all the people and they're playing the song in the background. She died, and that was probably my favorite movie going experience for the entire year at this point because she had such a blast.
That scene was really funny. It took me a second to realize that it was like the song from Cats. And when I did, I died laughing all by myself in the theater. And I was hacking up a lung because I was coughing the whole time too. And it was totally worth it because such a smart move on Marvel's part to put that song in and have that beautiful scene with those adorable kittens just eating people just so that they can all escape from the Saber Station.
From the Saber Station. Yes, that's definitely the name and not anything else that we might have thought it was.
I guess I'm like the only one who didn't know what that song was. I never watched Cats, so I didn't know.
You're not missing much. I will tell you this much.
Okay.
Wait, that is the song that like is the most well known from Cats. If you ever see the dear Lord, the abomination of a movie that came out a couple of years ago, they play that song like 3 or 4 times during that.
Oh wow.
It is like the powerhouse song of of the musical.
Oh, good for you, because you just discovered the secret of cats. Are you saying cats doesn't exist?
But we're not here to talk about cats. We're here to talk about the Marvels.
Party pooper. All right. So we've gone through favorite parts. What about your who was your favorite character or performance even or both? Like who did you enjoy the most in this movie? And why was it Iman Vellani?
For me, I would definitely have to say it was Iman for sure. Her take was just fun and it was like refreshing. And then just seeing her fawning over Captain Marvel and like meaning like her number one superhero of all time, it was just to me, I know people are probably finding it just a little over the top, but to me, I'm like, she's still young and she's just like that kid who has like, I guess you could say like that overexcited puppy who's just like excited about everything and she's just like excited to be like a part of a team and the part of that team happens to be Captain Marvel.
We're a team. No, we're not a team. We're not a team.
So for her just to be, I guess you can kind of say she was kind of like the heart of the team in a sense because
definitely.
it's like because she is young and she's seeing like the rights and the wrongs when Carol when she was like you can't save everyone and she was like but you can like you can actually save everybody like you can't just leave everyone behind and so it's just like just seeing you see the nativity in her and but you also like I said you see the heart you see this kid who's literally just trying to find her way as a superhero and how a better way to do it than having Captain Marvel and Monica at her side to be able to do it. She was like my favorite if she's not number two.
It's pretty hard not to pick Iman Vellani for this. Like Chantal said, she's so enthusiastic. I didn't find her annoying at all. I found it all incredibly charming. I found it endearing. She even had a couple like moments of growth as well because it's still very clear that she is new to this whole superhero thing and she's still trying to figure all of this out. And I love the relationship between Kamala and her family. It's just so great. And to have them in this as well, still supporting her, yet still trying to protect her, even though she's a superhero. She doesn't need the same protection that she would normally get from them, but her parents and her brother still wanted to do that. And I found that really endearing and I found that really nice. I think the only other case that I can make for anybody else is that this is a return to form for Nick Fury that I was super happy about because I'm not going to lie, after Secret Invasion, I was like, it's time to put Samuel L. Jackson out to pasture.
That's not good news.
He's done. He can't do this anymore. I don't know from a context standpoint or like a timeline standpoint. It's like, where on earth does Secret Invasion fall in relation to this? Because how do we get from that to this Nick Fury that we got in the Marvels? Like, what happened?
That's a good
It was like
question.
a complete opposite. It's literally like a different character in each thing. It's weird.
Nick Fury was replaced with a Skrull, you see.
Yeah. I believe it.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't know what they were thinking. Oh well, I mean, if we're gonna exit into the real world for a minute, outside of this movie was supposed to come out 6 months before Secret Invasion originally. It is possible that this does take place prior, but they also in Secret Invasion make it sound like Nick Fury hasn't been back to Earth in years, and like that's a big part of his arc there that like he's been hiding in space. But this movie clearly shows him going back and forth multiple times, so I'm almost wondering if they decided, like how when they had to switch Spider-Man and Multiverse of Madness, they had to retweak some things. Part of the reshoots were make sure he doesn't mention Secret Invasion or anything like that. I don't know. But yeah, he was so much fun. He had some of the funniest lines when he picks up the baby cat and the tentacles fly and he goes, "No, not my good eye." I lost it. When Carol hits the ground, he goes, "Oh, it's just Carol." He had such matter-of-fact lines that were just so funny.
Especially the one where they're like getting ready to crash land on the earth and like Kamala's brother is like praying and his brother and he's like and he stopped and he's like no he's like keep praying. He was like,
keep praying.
Amen. I was like I lost it at that scene. That was like so perfect.
Yeah, that was great. He was so funny.
And that's what we needed from Nick Fury. Also, I don't know if you all know this from Secret Invasion, but Nick Fury is old.
I'm too old for this shit.
Thank you, everybody, for reminding us about that in Secret Invasion. And in the Marvels, not the case. He's still got it.
No.
Let him just do Nick Fury how he wants instead of what we got from Secret Invasion.
Absolutely.
Just a bunch of hot garbage.
I mean, I will play devil's advocate here and say I maybe would like to see in the future Nick Fury being a little bit more in the middle of the two extremes, because like super jokey Nick Fury doesn't really vibe with what his character is supposed to be. You have to be able to take him a little seriously, although I think when he needed to be, he was. I don't know, like right in the middle of that, like Age of Ultron, where he shows up and he can have the serious conversation talk with Tony, but then also crack a joke that really makes you laugh. I don't know.
Right.
Like maybe move it back towards the center of the scale.
I feel like we did get that a little bit in this, but it did tip a little bit further into the jokey Nick Fury that had a lot of the best one-liners in the movie. Do you think part of that is because like, hey man, we got to redeem you for Secret Invasion? We saw that cut. We gotta now.
I don't know. Did they even do any reshoots between August and now?
Oh no, they probably didn't do any reshoots because they were all on strike, but they they probably had all this footage and they were just like, oh, we can't cut any of this now. We have to we gotta redeem this guy a little bit.
Probably.
This is me putting on my tinfoil hat and just, willing that into existence.
That's fair.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, crickets from
No, I mean it makes sense. Like listen, man, if I feel bad for Nia DaCosta at all, it's because the editor of this movie is the new director of the movie at this point. There is no way that this movie was not made in the editing bay. They clearly cut out so much, remixed things. From what I understand, the extensive reshoots were to kind of make connective tissue to what they had left after they edited the hell out of it. I mean, I could only imagine if you took one of our episodes that I edited and then like chopped out half of it and then said, here, say like 8 lines into the mic real quick so I can piece 2 things together. And then you release like a 20-minute episode of our conversations. I'd be a little annoyed too. So I can't blame her for that.
Look at me nice, my boy.
Like I said, I really liked the Monica stuff when her and Carol started to get serious and have a conversation. That really played for me. And so if the movie wasn't as fun as it was, I'd be super disappointed that they didn't go anywhere with it. Like one of my favorite scenes, and I'm surprised they actually managed to get me a little choked up, was after they all put on the headset things. And when Kamala runs over to Monica and hugs her. The love and care that she shows for this person who she's just met, and they have that big group hug. Like that was really touching to me. And a big part of that is Iman Vellani's performance. She truly made me feel the empathy that she felt in that moment. And that was a really good scene that I can almost guarantee probably had more of a payoff later on and maybe even earlier on to really sell a moment like that. But in the movie we got, I think it worked as well as it could have. I almost kind of wish we could have seen that play out in a different movie.
I think to your point, that's kind of one of the reasons why parts of the ending don't really work for me, is because we've got this supposed to be big emotional moment where Monica is going in to try to stop. I'm assuming that's an incursion, where they have the two universes. I feel like that would have played a little bit better, and Carol rushing towards her to try to get her back, because I'm assuming that they wanted that to have a big emotional punch, and it does, but I think it could have been more had we explored a little bit more of Monica and Carol's relationship, minus the occasional awkward one-liners between them. It's like, oh, you've been gone a long time. Those moments were great. We just didn't get enough of it, and it just didn't dive deep enough. I thought their plan was great, and I thought Monica was very noble because she knows this is what she's got to do. This is going to be a one-way trip.
Yeah. I almost felt more emotion out of Kamala at the end. Like she was more broken up about Monica being trapped than Carol was. I mean, I know Carol's supposed to be more stoic and stern, but it goes straight from the sacrifice to then Kamala's just landing back on Earth, and Fury's like, "What happened?" And she's like, "She's got to go do a thing," and she flew to restart the sun on Hala, and we just kind of get like stern Captain Marvel eyes to them back on Earth. So it's like we didn't really get a ton there. There was that little moment in the airplane at the end, which was nice, where they're sitting in the plane on the ground and they're talking, just her and Kamala. But overall, I think you're right. That is really, I think the biggest loss is the fact that we clearly weren't privy to a storyline that they had planned out, and we only just got to see snippets of it.
I have to agree on that too, because I felt the same way. Like I remember them like showing like a little quick little snippet of like Monica and Carol like finally seeing each other after 30 years, and like her calling her Lieutenant Trouble, and she was like, "It's Captain Rambeau," and that was literally pretty much kind of like all that we got. And then when we ended up going into Carol's memories, when it was like Carol and Maria, and so Monica was like seeing memories of her mother still alive when she was blipped, and it was like heartbreaking for her, but it just didn't hit like you said as well. Especially in the third act when Monica makes that big sacrifice, and I was just waiting to have like that kind of pull in my chest, like, oh, like this is supposed to be something very emotional. Like Carol's losing another part of her family with Monica, but it was like they didn't feel like a family quite yet. It was like they were still trying to pick up the pieces of what was broken of their relationship that they did have. And I definitely have to agree with Kamala actually being more sympathetic with them losing Monica. Carol really didn't have a chance to like grieve in a way, because it was like, oh, she went to handle Hala, making sure like their son starts to work, or like helping Kamala and their family move to
Mm-hmm.
Maria and Monica's old house in Louisiana. It just seems kind of off to me. It's just like they did try to pull us in with the emotional depth, but I just felt they kind of like dropped the ball on it though, still, because it was just like, oh, Monica's gone. And it's like, okay, so are you guys not gonna go search for her? I'm like, do you guys really know she's like alive? So it's just like Marvel does, it's a lot. It's just a lot of pieces that just still were like out of place.
Absolutely. You said something there, and I want to move into the next question that I have, which is basically, what didn't you guys like problems or plot holes? Like let's tear the movie down a little for some of the stupid things in it, because I think we said enough nice things. And I want to start off with that house in Louisiana that was Maria and Monica's house that someone is moving into. Like,
Right.
I've seen it twice now, and I'm still not convinced who's moving. Are they both moving in? Are Kamala's family and Carol
And that's
moving into this house? Because they were
and
moving in
that's why I was
boxes of Carol's
confused.
stuff.
Right.
And then the mother says, like, this would be a great place to raise kids. And I'm like, but they live in Jersey City. What?
Right.
They're moving to Louisiana?
I'm like, that's a big
What is
step.
happening?
And the thing that sucks about that is you move her away from Jersey City, no hope of a Spider-Man anything now.
Right?
And
What is she
Right.
going to be? Kamala Khan, hero of the swamp?
the bayou, what is going on with that? Like, is there a lot of superhero malfeasance in the deep south? That was a bit of a question that I also had. It seemed
Also,
little odd.
she's a senior. You're gonna pull her out of high school her senior year? They're gonna ruin Kamala's life. Like, that's awful.
The fact that also her friend Bruno isn't in this, no clip, no cameo,
Yeah.
nothing
No,
from
nothing.
that. And
Her one friend got a name drop. I remember that. That was it.
my mistake. I forgot about that part.
But yeah, I thought that was funny. Like, just the complete ambiguity of that whole situation. Her sister-in-law wasn't even in it.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
They only had so much money in the budget. They couldn't pay everyone.
What are you talking about? This was like a $200 million budget. Like, what do you mean? Not
Well, yeah,
enough?
exactly. They wasted $250 million. They couldn't pay 4 more actors. They had to make cuts somewhere. They've already gone like way over budget on this one.
Because you see, like in the scene where her brother had a conversation with his wife, that was like the only way we knew, oh, he's still married. At least you know he's still married.
Just so you know, he does still have a wife. She was getting groceries when they decided to go to space and wasn't home. So she's at home. I hope she doesn't come in and not understand why the house is destroyed.
All right, question. Which one do you want me to go? Do you want me to talk about the villain or do you want me to talk about their powers?
Let's go villain, because I'm gonna be real honest with you. I thought her name was Garvin for the first entire viewing of the movie. I'm like, are they calling her Garvin? What is this girl's name?
I thought it was Darvin. I was all over the place. I didn't even know what her name was. I was so confused.
At first, I thought that her name was Darwin, like the scientist. So
I think, wait. I think we can all agree, though. Her official title is Mega Maid. Because that was her plan the whole time.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I am not one of those people who thinks that she is like the worst villain in all of the MCU.
I'll agree to that.
I can agree.
However, I do think that we did not spend enough time with her, and maybe in the release the DaCosta cut, there's more that could have explained a little bit, but it's very clear what her motivation is. It's that she wants to shape this planet that the Kree are on so that they can have their home back the way that it was before Carol came and messed everything up. I thought that she had good motivation. It's just, she's just not given enough to do, and there's not enough background for me to be like, I have a strong opinion about whether or not your motivation is sound. Because of that, it's like, yeah, you're perfectly fine, but this isn't going to be memorable at all.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's too bad, because I thought Zawe Ashton, I thought her performance was good. Just again, she's just not given enough to do.
She's in another movie. She's in the Captain Marvel sequel.
She's in the original cut.
Yeah. She's in the serious Captain Marvel sequel that really pits a former colleague against, because halfway through the movie, I'm like, holy shit, is Captain Marvel the bad guy? Because they really make it feel like, yeah, Captain Marvel came in and she started a war, ruined our planet's entire economy. She, like, the sun went out and everything just got worse from there. Like, Captain Marvel's the bad guy. But then the movie quickly gets away from that whole idea. But every time they go back to Hala, kind of wondering, I think Captain Marvel's the bad guy here. And there's a movie there somewhere where Carol really has to deal with that. And it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I feel like with Darvin, I felt like Zawe Ashton, I think she did like an amazing job as the character, and I have to agree with you guys too as well. I just feel like they just didn't give her enough. It was just like we could see her motivation of like why she's doing what she's doing, and it's like, okay, it's like I understand that and I get it, but it's just that I feel like they didn't just stay with her long enough to just be like, I guess you could say to agree with some points, like when we would agree with Thanos, like with a few things he would say in Infinity War, it's like, okay, he has a point. But like with her, I wish I had that same kind of, I guess you could say in a sense, kind of have like empathy for like what she's going through, because it's like, okay, they're showing it as Captain Marvel is the antagonist. Like she's the one who destroyed, Hala. Like she didn't understand what she was going through. And instead of like trying to understand what she was going through, she just went into this planet and basically just destroyed it, thinking that she was saving everyone. And instead, she was actually killing everyone. And so Darvin was just trying her way of trying to fix it, but I just feel like they just squandered this character because she had so much potential, and like the way she went out. And what's so crazy is that they actually show that part in the trailer, like with her demise. Like you see it in the trailer, but they don't show it all the way. You're just thinking like, oh, maybe she's like like overpowering or something, and she like turns into like some entity or whatever. But no, she just blows up.
You explode. Yeah. maybe she'll get better. Like
I was a little disappointed about that, but I think Zawe Ashton, she did an amazing job. I just wish that she had more.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they say the best villains are the ones that think that they're actually the main character and like it's their story. And I could really see from her perspective, based on the snippets we got of what Hala looks like. I mean, they're all wearing breathing masks, for goodness sakes. Like they can't breathe the atmosphere. she would appear to be a hero to them for saving them.
Right.
I mean, granted, they probably don't know that she stole the air from a planet that had people on it,
Thereby destroying planet Druidia and saving planet Spaceball. Everybody got that?
but still, like,
Right.
what's her journey? Because she was one of the Kree soldiers that Carol was. So what got her
Right.
from that to, you know what? Desperate times call for desperate measures. Let's just start wiping out people, and the Annihilator will go after all the people she cares about since she did the same to us. So it became more about revenge. But I feel like there's a
Exactly.
story there. You could see that there could have been a progression to make the character better.
Well, not only do they have that exploration of Carol Danvers as the Annihilator, I think that's a really interesting story in there, but also she is somebody who Captain Marvel uses her powers against her and she just absorbs it. What else
I have
you
so many
got?
questions about
And
that.
I do not understand how sometimes the powers can cause you
Hurt?
to teleport and then cause and hurt people, and then sometimes they can't. And it's like, oh, what is going on?
It was,
Well, I
yeah.
actually, on second watch, I was paying close attention because I'm like, like, that doesn't make sense. They did seem to limit their powers to whenever they use it at the same time, they switch. And so they
Right.
did seem to be like holding off. So there was very few moments where, okay, well, she just used her powers and she just used her powers, so therefore they should have switched just there. And I think the only time it actually happened was on the water planet. But then Miss Marvel then quickly switched right after she started using her powers a bit. So that was the one thing. But like the one thing I really didn't get was they acknowledged that whenever you blast her bangle, it powers her up. Miss Marvel's
Right.
also wearing a bangle. They never once go, hey, why don't we power Kamala up by doing the same thing and then take her out and make them more like equals? I just thought that was a missed opportunity. But then, like, she uses both bangles and explode, and then Miss Marvel uses both bangles, and fine, she's perfectly okay. And I don't know if this is a Loki season 2 issue where the writers just go, shut up, nerd, don't think about it, or what, but that just feels like I needed a little bit more of an explanation other than Kamala going, they were meant to be mine or something like that. I don't know. It seems weird. I'm glad Kamala didn't explode, but I would have liked to know why.
Yeah, they didn't give us anything on that. It's like, yes, the Bengals, and then that's it. It's like, okay, so like, what else can she do with these Bengals? And it's like, we'll never know until next time. It's like, okay, when's next time? Like, we're just kind of stuck. So hopefully, like, hashtag release that the Casa cut.
Also, have we gotten a confirmation that she doesn't need the bangles for her powers to work?
See, I was kind of like confused on that too. And what was so crazy is like even me and my brother, because we went together and we were like thinking the same thing, like, how can she? But then I do remember, I think it's like the finale of Miss Marvel where her friend Bruno tells her that I think he was saying like her DNA, she's
it
like
changed.
she's a mutant. Yeah, it changed.
Okay, that's right. I completely forgot about that.
They use the M word. The dreaded M word that they couldn't use for a long time. But... No. These people aren't mutants. They're just enhanced.
Yeah.
No. We'll just
I don't know. I feel so inhuman. No, you're mutated.
Not the same thing. Not the same thing, everybody. And I guess that also we mentioned mutants. Can we talk about the post-credit scene? Because
I think we've made everyone wait long enough. That post-credit scene when Kamala shows up at Kate Bishop's house. No, I'm just kidding.
First, I actually loved that scene. I love that scene. It's what Marvel is looking to do. They're looking to set up this new Avengers cast because you sprinkle like young kids all throughout all of these movies and TV shows. It's pretty obvious where they're going with that. I'm just glad to see them actually doing something with it. Instead of what Marvel was saying, it's like, no, we're not doing that. Wink.
Come on. I was speculating. I'm like, I really hope that the whole reason that they're doing the Thunderbolts now is because they're going to pit the Thunderbolts against the Young Avengers. Because that would be fun. Because it's been way too long. They need an Avengers movie. It's been 4 years. that's typically when they do Avengers movies every 4 years.
Yeah.
So like, where's my Avengers movie? And I love all these new young characters. So like, let's get these guys in a movie together.
I'm excited for it because I do love Kate Bishop as Hawkeye. So it's just amazing to see those two together because I think with
Mhm.
like Kate and Kamala, I feel like their personalities, I think they'll click like very well and I think they'll work perfectly together. So I'm kind of interested to see in which direction that they're going to go with these guys.
Hopefully this kicks it off.
Same.
The girl who plays America Chavez, Xochitl Gomez, she's doing Dancing with the Stars right now. So her profile is like very much out there. And there's a TikTok circulating for a while with her and Catherine Newton, who
That's right.
they did something where there's a question on screen that says, when are you two going to act in a movie together? And they're just like, oh my God, I love this question. And then it just cuts off. I'm like, oh, great.
Kamala even says, and apparently Ant-Man has a daughter. So they're doing one of two things. They're either setting up a Young Avengers or they're setting up a Force. And I kind of hope Young Avengers is the route they go because I wouldn't want them to leave out the Billy and Tommy story. I mean, I know we haven't gotten there yet, but apparently Agatha House of Harkness is supposed to be the one that resurrects Billy and Tommy. And they would be fun characters to add in, as long as they're not those two little kids from Multiverse of Madness.
Oh,
like,
oh my God, them kids, man.
Are you sure House of Harkness is the title of it?
That
and it hasn't changed.
One of the
yet?
titles.
It hasn't changed since then to something else.
I cannot confirm. It's got a different name every other week at this point.
Right.
But I think we should get into the post-credit scene that everyone came here to see. I have two thoughts. One, I really like the way Beast looks. I was like, CGI Beast looks good.
Agreed.
I mean, especially compared to prosthetic Beast, which I was like, oh, that is rough. But CGI Beast looks good. He looks like they took him right out of the animated series. But then also, I died when she realizes she's in the Fox universe and goes, shit. It's like, yeah, that's how I would react if I found out I was in the Fox universe now too.
I just remember seeing that scene and I was just like, she's seen her mom. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, it's not her mom. It's not her mom. It's not her mom. I'm like, her mom looks, for one, the same. And I'm like, and her daughter is like over 30. So it's like just seeing that moment where she's just like happy and just overwhelmed because it's like, this is my mom. Like, I'm happy. Like, I'm finally seeing my mom and it's been so many years. And it's like, where the hell have you been? And then when she realized, it's like, oh shit, like, this is not my planet. This is not my home. Like, and this is not my mother. So it's like the way they cut that. And I was just like, we're getting the X. Well, we already knew we were getting the X-Men, but it was just like now, like seeing this credit scene after seeing, Multiverse of Madness, it's just letting us know, like, okay, Fox is coming in, they're getting their place, so it's like we might as well get ready for it.
I was so glad that they actually gave Tiona Paris an actual acting performance in the movie with this scene because like I said earlier, she just felt like they relegated her to just doing exposition. And so to see her actually get to really emote, like you could tell, like she went through the gamut of emotions, like elation that her mom was there, confusion, like she started to apologize at one point, and like she went through so much in just that little moment that the fact that we're talking about an acting performance in a post-credit scene, that might be the first time that Marvel has ever managed that. Because usually it's always just like, let's just talk about the thing that we're going to see next. But this was an actual performance inside of that. And I appreciate that a lot.
Same.
Also, she never once thought it was weird that there was a giant blue creature standing at the foot of her bed.
Who was that strange blue creature?
No. This is just
everything she's been through. Yeah.
Well, okay. In Monica's defense, she had seen the Skrulls. She had seen Kree that looked like Ronin. So, big furry blue dude, whatever. Like
same shit, different day.
Yeah. So I have questions about this scene for a couple reasons. And for our viewers,
I like viewers.
Yeah, audio podcast, right? So I have been looking forward to the X-Men being introduced to the MCU for a long time. Like, I really have.
Same.
So what the hell is this? Like, are we just getting the Fox universe?
Tell them they'll live to regret this.
You'll live to regret this.
Nick, this goes to your argument about Spider-Man No Way Home, where, like, wait a second, is Hugh Jackman just coming back to do this, like, full-time again because Disney backed a bank vault over to his mansion in Australia and be like, we just need you to come back and do this full-time again. You game? Why not? If it would have been anybody but Kelsey Grammer, I would have had less questions.
I'm a hero.
But
Yeah, same.
but it's like,
And you know that they did that on purpose too, because it's Kelsey
Right,
Grammer
right.
was in prosthetics, so obviously this is a different looking beast.
Right,
you
right,
could
'cause-
still say it's no. X-Men Fox universe is universe 624, and this universe is universe 921. So
Stop it. No. But to your point,
616 adjacent.
we're 616.2. I
Right.
don't know what you're talking about.
It was my understanding that there would be no math.
But also, I am wondering if this was in the original cut or if Marvel felt the need to put this in because people are getting impatient and they need something to really look forward to. What better thing to have people look forward to than the imminent arrival of the X-Men,
Well,
regardless
I
of
think-
whether or not they're recast?
I think you are kind of right. And the only reason I think that is because a while back, like almost a year ago now, my buddy who is constantly on like all of the Reddit forums and everything, and sometimes sees things that people are saying are leaks. This is what's going to happen, and this is their plan, and somebody leaked it. And he's not always right, but sometimes he is. And this is one of those moments where he said the plan was that at a certain point, certain characters were going to be in other universes, and like there will be multiple different teams that then converge when Secret Wars happens. And he said that Monica was one of them that would get stuck in another universe. He also said Ant-Man and Wasp would be stuck in the quantum realm. And that was what I was talking about to you the other day when we recorded. I think the Ant-Man and Wasp ending originally had them being stuck in the quantum realm and that they got out as a reshoot because they're stuck in the quantum realm at the end of Ant-Man 3. And now Monica's stuck in this alternate universe with the X-Men. And then supposedly there's going to be some TVA shenanigans with Deadpool. So like the idea is that these all of a sudden the characters we know are going to be kind of scattered throughout different multiversal dimensions, at which point that's how we get all of these crazy variants and X-Men's and whatever else we end up getting come together. This feels like maybe this is the stage that they were planning on setting originally. And now because of the whole Kang of it all, maybe they changed some things up a bit. I don't know, but maybe we would have been at this point a lot sooner.
Chantal, like, are you excited about the X-Men coming into this? Like, what are you, how do you feel?
I think I'm getting to that point where I'm hitting Marvel fatigue. I'm hitting that wall when it comes to like superhero stuff. I think I'm getting there now. So to me, I feel like we've already hit X-Men before. I mean, it was like 20 years ago, I understand, but there are other superheroes that we have not touched yet. So I'm just like, if they go into like other X-Men characters instead of like the regular like Storm, Wolverine, and Charles Xavier, like then yeah, sure, I'll be like all for it. But if it's like the same characters that we have been seeing off and on for like the last 20 years, it's like I guess my expectation is just it's dropped.
That's fair. The question is always coming up. Is it Marvel fatigue?
Mhm.
Is it superhero fatigue? I'm still on the it's bad movie fatigue. Like I'm just tired of them not being good because like we just saw a trailer for Madam Web and I'm like, why does Sony keep trying to steal movies from 2004 and release them today? But then I saw the What If trailer and I suddenly got like excited again. I was like, oh, that
It's
looks really
strange.
fun. So
Exactly.
I'm not fatigued by it because like when I see ones that look good, I get excited.
Right.
So they're playing
It's weird.
tiddlywinks
It's
with my
just
heart.
like I told my brother the other day, I feel like Marvel now is just like how they had everything planned out for like the Infinity Saga. And it's like now with Marvel, it's like they're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it sticks.
Mm-hmm. It's
And that's
movie
how,
making by committee at this point.
yeah.
It's what is the Q4 earnings of our market research that determines whether or not the blah, 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 blah. Like it's like you guys just make movies to be good. Like stop
that,
worrying about
that's it.
your investment on return. Like stop spending $200 million on these things, assuming they're all going to make $1 billion. Like how about you just spend 80 and hope for 200? Like come on, like we used to do this all the time.
So, and this kind of goes to one of the other issues that I have with this movie as well is that I was listening to this on Sif Pop, and I do agree with their kind of assessment that you're asking the audience to invest a lot of time in trying to go through all of these series in order to understand every little thing that's going on. Unless you watch Miss Marvel and even in WandaVision, you're going to be lost in this. You're just like, who are these two people?
Hope you
Like,
understand what it means to have walked through a radiation field created by a witch hex. Because
yeah,
if you don't know what any
Exactly.
of those words in that order means, you are not going to understand what the hell Monica is talking about.
see,
None whatsoever.
but then also, if you did not watch Hawkeye, that end scene is not gonna it's not gonna resonate with you because it's like,
Hmm.
who is
Who
that?
is that
What's
girl with the bow and arrow?
Exactly.
what's up with that? And I think this goes to the larger problem that Marvel is having, and I think it's been mentioned already. It's just there's way too much out there now. I'm hoping that they do stick to their guns and they're just going to release Deadpool 3 next year, and that's it. Now,
Well, theatrically, there's like
Yeah.
4 Marvel TV shows that are scheduled for next year.
right. But at the same time, it's like scale back a little
Yeah.
bit, let some of these stories flow. And then that's part of the problem now is that you have all of these TV shows, you have all of these movies, and you're
Right.
not doing anything with like half these characters.
Mhm.
Like,
Exactly.
when are all these people going to come back? Obviously, they're all going to come back in an Avengers movie because that's just the natural time for it to come back. Now, the problem that we're having, and Nick, we talked about this with the Captain America Civil War problem, is that you've now created a precedent that all of these individual movies are now tentpole and event movies because they're no longer individual movies. They are a conduit for the further story and then an attempt to try to get as many people as you can into these individual stories at the expense of your main character, which is what happened in this one. I'm sorry that I made you switch Brie Larson and Iman Vellani because
it was Iman Vellani's movie almost.
It definitely was. And I think on the cutting room floor, there could have been a good Captain Marvel movie in here somewhere where we explore all the things that we talked about, where it's like, you did something and you now have to atone for it to some extent or another. I get it. You're still trying to figure out how to be a superhero, but you messed up and now you got to pay for it.
Yeah. Part of the problem is their insistence on these movies taking place in real time. It's just wild to me that this is the first time we've seen Captain Marvel since Endgame, which according to them, it's been like 4 real years in their world as well as in our world. And I'm like, why? Why not just set them like a year later? Like make a story that takes place right after Endgame. Give us Captain Marvel 2 and 3 between now and then. Don't be like, okay, well, we just got Captain Marvel, so now we have to do 3 for Guardians, 3 for Thor, 3 for Ant-Man. 3. If you've got 3 Captain Marvel movies ready to go, just do those movies. I don't care if that's like every 2 years I get a Captain Marvel movie. Like if it means that I'm going to see the character more and I'm going to get more depth out of it. And if the movie doesn't work, it doesn't make money, scrap the character, have her show up in an Avengers movie later and move on with something that does work. I think Chantal was going to say something.
Yeah, because I have to agree with you guys too. Because I felt as well. I didn't think this was like a Captain Marvel movie at all. Like I didn't feel like Brie Larson was the star of it. I felt like it was Iman Vellani. Like I thought this was her movie, and then when you throw Tiani Paris in the mix as well too, it's like you're almost kind of pushing Captain Marvel into the background almost. So it was almost kind of like she got sidelined with these two new characters. So it really wasn't her solid movie like you see with like the sequels to like Iron Man or like Captain America or like Thor. It's like those are their movies. Like this is not her movie. It's like she has to share it with two other people.
Mhm.
So I just feel like you were saying too as well, Nick, like they should have like gave us like another actual Captain Marvel movie instead of giving us the Captain Marvel movie to set it up for Avengers, because that was the reason why they gave us the Captain Marvel movie. So it was just weird to like not see her from her movie to Endgame, and then we like got all these other movies and TV shows, and then boom, movie. It is weird to not know like where she's been this whole entire time, because even though like Monica asked her in the beginning, like, where have you been? And she's like, there's other worlds that I've been saving, but it's like, okay, what are those other worlds? Like where have you really been at? Like we have not seen her at all. So
Her
it's
movie
just
took
weird
place
to
in the
like start a movie.
90s.
Right, exactly. So it's like literally like 30 years later, it's like, okay, so what have you been doing since then?
They could have made
So
a
it's just
Captain Marvel 2 take place in 2004. Like it would have been fine. We wouldn't have been like, I don't understand. 2004?
right.
Sony's like, that's where all of our movies take place. We're just like, come on, just set one there.
I may not necessarily need a Captain Marvel movie or anything like that, but give me a special. I'll take a special for
Yeah.
something like that. Because
Keep saying it.
Marvel, you had something good with these specials, and then you've done nothing with them since Guardians,
Right.
the Christmas special. Chantal, I think what you said, that would have been a great opportunity for a special. It's like, Captain Marvel, where have you been over the last blah, blah, blah time? But
Yeah.
therein lies the issue. It's like, oh, something else that people have got to watch in order for people to understand
Right.
stuff.
I mean,
So
I've got two thoughts on that. One, I think Thor Ragnarok to date has done the whole team up movie the best. It was a Thor movie, but also a sneaky Hulk movie. I think
Right.
that's probably the best example that we've gotten so far of two heroes from different franchises working together in one of the others.
Well, but Hulk also never completely overpowered Thor the same way that Miss Marvel.
Well, yeah, and
Captain
that's
Marvel.
that's my point. I think Thor Ragnarok is what they should shoot for. I think they were smart calling this movie The Marvels, because I mean, we are doing it a disservice by saying it's Captain Marvel 2, even though the synopsis is describing it as Captain Marvel 2. They did call it The Marvels, which implies that it is a ensemble movie. And had this movie been made purposefully, and like this is what they were going for from the start and not found later on in the editing bay, then I think they did as well as Ragnarok did. But and I said from the start, like after once Civil War happened and we're like, oh, so they can all show up in each other's movies without it being titled Avengers. So what I want to see from here on out is just pick two major characters, can no more, maybe some sides can show up, but like if you're gonna do these big things but they're still gonna be solo films, don't call it Thor Ragnarok and have Hulk in it. Just call it like a title that implies it's both of their movies, and make a movie where it's just like a buddy movie. Like make Lethal Weapon, call it Lethal Weapon, and it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier in a movie together, and that's their buddy cop movie. Like get away from the whole reliance on naming it after a certain character, because then you can be a little bit more open with what these movies are. And then also I really feel like the TV show model works for your day-to-day adventures. Like I feel like the Marvels would have been a fun special where it's like you get to see like a day in the life of these characters where they have to, like there's an emergency and we have to go save the Skrulls from this thing where it's happening, and like find a way to make it a quick hour-long adventure where it is from start to finish completely wrapped up by the end, and you've got yourself a fun little one-shot that's a check-in with some of these random one-off characters. And I think What If kind of has the idea. Like, do it like that, only instead of it being a 30-minute animated thing, make it an hour-long live action thing, or maybe do an animated thing. Don't just say it has to be live action. If What If works in the animated format, do something. But like, we need more check-ins with these characters, because like at this point, the next time we might see Shang-Chi, it'll be 10 years from now. And we don't like it's been
Right.
a decade since we saw you last. Like his entire life could have changed. And we're sitting here going, I want to see what's next.
You'll get nothing unlike it.
And what next might not ever come. Like, it's weird.
No, I have to agree because it's like we're still waiting on Shang-Chi because I'm like, wasn't that like, what was that, 2021? Yeah, so it's like it's been a minute, and like the same thing like with Eternals. Like I just watched that today, and I'm just still confused. Like, okay, are we gonna see these guys again too? Like it's just like a lot of stuff.
That thing is
and,
just still sticking out in Earth. Like nobody is. Nobody cares about this.
All it would have
Nobody-
taken was one scene where Cersei goes, I'm going to make it all water now. And it just goes into the ocean. And then we don't ever have to worry about it again.
It's like we never know. It's like, okay, so we're just not going to talk about this big hand and half of a face like sticking out of like the planet. Perfect. We will not talk about that ever again.
They showed the Earth from space like 4 or 5 times in the Marvels. They should have had it sticking out so you can see it. But no acknowledgement of it. Just, there it is.
Maybe in the DaCosta cut, they do have that scene in there, and Kamala's like, "The hell is that?" And Carol is like, "Don't ask. Just
don't worry about it.
Like, don't worry."
All right, one last sidebar before we move on. In terms of future projects, like I'm hoping that this whole back to basics that they're implementing now, this year off, all they're doing is Deadpool. The rest of the movies have been pushed. Hopefully this gives them a second to go, I have an idea. Let's finish a script before we start production.
No,
make
that's
sure it
ridiculous.
actually works.
No,
they never know what that. They don't know what that means.
We could do reshoots. It's like a video game. Just release it, and then we could just patch it. Like, it's all good. No worries.
We can do rewrites while we're doing the movie. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Ain't
because
no
it worked on
attention.
Iron Man doesn't mean it still works.
Not a great plan.
Well, I guess since we're kind of wrapping down, then I want to know, where do you guys rank this amongst the other MCU movies? Like, I'll kick it off in case you haven't placed it just yet. I have it ranked at number 24, right below Doctor Strange and right above Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I it's right in the middle, like smack dab. Like, I acknowledge it has a ton of flaws, and so it should be at the bottom, but I had a ton of fun, which would make it higher to the top. So as it is, it's like dead center. What about you guys?
For me, I had to like move it a few times in my list. So I actually have it as number 14. I have it above, I'm like, don't shoot me, but I'm like, I have it above No Way Home and below The Winter Soldier.
Mine's above No Way Home by a lot. No Way Home at 29 on my list.
Whew.
Yeah. Loki season 2, episode 2. If you want to listen to that episode, I go off on it.
I have to check it out.
I have this tentatively penciled in because I think I'm gonna probably be in the same boat as Chantal. I'm like, I think it's too soon for me to put this on the list. I need to let it marinate a little bit more. But
you have until Saturday when we record our final ranking. Not to put a time limit on it, but you kind of need to wrap this up.
I have this tentatively at number 22.
Okay.
Refresh me. What's above and below that?
Just above Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and just below Hawkeye.
There you go. Mine's right above Guardians also.
There you go.
Yeah,
All right.
my Guardian, I was gonna say my Guardians is like number 28 for Volume 2.
Mine bumped up recently. When I did the rewatch before Volume 3, it was living in like Phase 1 country with Thor and the Incredible Hulk down at like 30 something, but
Right.
it really grew on me. So I'm like, you know what? I think I've been a little too harsh on this one for too long.
Let me bump it up a little bit there.
25, right in the middle. Not even in the middle now. It's still on the low side of the middle. 44 movies and TV shows in.
It's been a journey.
It sure has. Yeah, and the most wild part about it is like a third, maybe even more than a third of the list only came out post Endgame. Up to Endgame, there was only like 20 movies. and now it's almost doubled. So
Yeah,
it's
it's a
wild.
lot.
It's way too much. It's way too
It's
much.
a lot. It's
It
just
is.
overwhelming.
It's way too much, and yet somehow not enough. Because
No,
we're
no, no, no.
literally
no,
saying, like, I feel like we haven't
disagree.
seen these
Right.
characters in so long.
Yeah. I'm like, it's like, we need a break.
Well, we stepped into a larger universe. We just didn't know it. So, anybody have any final closing thoughts on the movie itself?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
good.
I will add one last final thought. From a kid and family perspective, my kids loved it. I brought all three. So they're 5, 8, and 11. And the 5-year-old, who was the one I was the most concerned about, he sat through almost the entire thing. It wasn't until the very end when Carol flew out to save Monica where he looked at me and he goes, how can she breathe in space? And I'm like, I have the exact same question, but I don't know either. Like they are really wonky about who can breathe in space and whatnot in this movie. But he sat all the way through to that part without saying a word, which is rare for him. Like I said, the girls both loved it. And as we're walking out, they're going back and forth. The whole Kate Bishop of it all really blew them away. They couldn't stop talking about, like, they could do a Young Avengers because who else do they have? And they're going down the list of all the kid superheroes that we've seen on the shows and the movies in the last 4 years. And they're getting really excited. And so at the end of the day, I have to give the movie some credit because it reached an audience. Like, I mean, we're a bunch of old nerds. They are kind of making these for the kids too. So the fact that the kids come out of it really with a excitement for what's next, I think that somewhere they're kind of doing their jobs right. Even though from a critical perspective, maybe they could do it a little better because we've seen them do it better, but the kids all really enjoyed it. So I think if you've got kids, it's definitely one to show them sooner rather than later because I think they'll get a kick out of it and have a blast. So, Mike, what do we have coming up next week on the program?
Next week, we will be wrapping up our MCU chat by doing the hotly anticipated combining of our MCU rankings list to make the official Geek Speak Louder Than Nerds MCU rankings. And boy, howdy, I am coming in hot with that one because we have very conflicting opinions about a handful of these movies. So we're going to have to find ways to compromise.
I've got the Boimler and Rutherford. That's a compromise drop already. It's going to be left and right all over that episode.
every 5 minutes.
That's a compromise.
As of right now, there are four movies total in this entire list that I think we can guarantee agree on hands down. And that's it. So out of 44 movies, 40 of them we're going to be fighting back and forth. But I'm really looking forward to it as well. Oh, and also I'm going to put a letterboxed ranking then, and I'll share it to all of our social medias once we have it. So you can look at a nice picture of it as opposed to just hearing our voices listed out.
Until next time, please like, subscribe, share. Remember to not be fazed by the strange blue creature standing by your hospital bed, and rate us 5 stars on your listening app of choice. Also, you could find us on social media. I am on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Serialized at MLHilty2452.
And you can find me on Letterboxd, Blue Sky, and Twitter at Jagged2319. You can also contact the show at geekspeaklouder@gmail.com or on Blue Sky by searching Geeks Speak Louder Than Nerds. You can also join our Facebook group and follow us on Twitter at Geek Speak Loud. Chantal, you want to give us your socials once more?
Of course. If you want to catch me talk any and everything pop culture, you can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at _AkiraXO and at Letterboxd at Edna Mode.
Do you have anything that you want to plug? Like anything that you reviewed recently or wrote about?
The last thing I actually wrote for Sis Pop would actually be Gen B. It was the series, of course, spinoff for The Boys, which was, of course, outrageous and a fun ride as well. Give that a check out, which you can find on Sis Pop.
Cool. We'll have to have you back to talk Gen V because I'm not saying we're definitely doing it, but I'm not saying that. So there's a little tease for everybody out there and a little Thanksgiving gift to go along with your delicious dinners, hopefully, that you will all be having tomorrow as this episode drops. Be sure to follow Chantal, and thank you once again for being our very first ever guest on the show.
Thank you.
you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you guys so much. It was fun.
I'm glad you had fun because we did as well.
Yeah.
And you'll definitely have to come back. So until next time, I'm Nick Farrow.
And I'm Mike Hilty. Thank you for tuning in to Geeks Speak Louder Than Nerds. Catchphrase.
Hi, everybody.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
I just
Thank
actually
you.
listened to your episode on Writer's Room where you talked about Akira.
Yes.
That was an interesting movie. It was my first time watching it as well. So.
Same. It was definitely a trip for me for sure.
It was a wild. I wasn't expecting. I was like, "Oh, this will probably be a fun racing movie."
No,
it was
no.
not.
It is definitely not.
Live and learn.
Also, quick point of clarification. It's Monica Rambeau, not Maria.
What did I say? Oh, Maria's her mom.
Maria.
Did I write Maria?
Yes. Yes.
Womp womp. I sure did. You're right. It's not Maria Rambeau. Getting ahead of myself. I'm very excited for the eventual Maria Rambeau appearance later on. But yes. All right. Give me a clean. Hold on. I wouldn't say don't watch Cats. It's certainly an experience, but understand what you're getting into and understand that it's probably one that you should be inebriated for. So.
Yes.
I was gonna say I will probably be inebriated if I have to watch it. I cannot watch that sober. I don't think I can do that.
No.
An enhanced viewing.
There are so many like quality actors in it, and it's so clear that none of them were on the same page. There's a couple people who understood the assignment. It's like, okay, I get it. This is the type of movie that I'm in. But then you get Jason Derulo and Rebel Wilson. It's like, what is going on? What are you all doing?
And then Ian McKellen shows up and he's giving an honest to God Shakespearean performance, but also he's a cat. Idris Elba shows up.
Idris Elba just was
raw sexuality from a cat. I think the Thunderbolts is the wrong lesson to take away from the idea of a buddy-buddy team up, because that movie is 3 Captain Americas and 2 Black Widows. I'm like, they're all guys that punch. You have a gamut of possible heroes or anti-heroes, and you pick the punching ones and the kicking ones and the ones that scissor your head and flip you over. That's all they chose. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe the internet was wrong and they thought Deadpool was going to be in the Loki finale.
How dare! Oh,
wow!
How dare you? How'd all your predictions go on Lower Decks, huh?
Tendi went to a wedding. I recall.
How also was your prediction that the ending of Loki it could never be done in a satisfying way?
I listened to both of our episodes today, and I will say this. I did put a qualifier on that there's no way they could make a satisfying ending, and I have the power to unmute myself.
Well, no duh, but so by the strange blue creature by your hospital. Dude, stop highlighting it while I'm trying to read it.
Sorry. Stop fighting in front of the guest. Sorry, that was my bad. Go ahead.
It's all good. It's all good. If we're not laughing while we're doing this, we're doing something wrong.
If we're not laughing while we're doing it, we're coughing uncontrollably.
Hey, everybody, look what I've got. Christmas cookies. Cookies. Oh, thank you. Who was that strange blue creature? That my kind of fella.